work hard to get the best A-levels that you possibly can. You practice every day and watch every video on YouTube to try and get the best UCAT grade you ever can. You rewrite that personal statement hundreds of times before you can perfect it, and finally you get a couple of interviews from your dream dental schools. So for these interviews you practice over and over again, looking in the mirror, and finally you do it, and you've got to wait months for your response, and it finally comes. I'm so sorry to inform you that we cannot offer you a place on this course. It sucks, trust me, I've been there. But that doesn't mean your dreams of becoming a dentist have withered away, because today I'm going to share various game plans which you can utilise to plan your comeback and get into dentistry. So immediately after rejection, it's really easy to feel bitter and sour towards everything and everyone, especially anyone that has made it in. And I certainly had a level of jealousy when I got rejected. I see other people, my mates, who got into dentistry, and you might have felt like you really deserve that spot. In fact, I remember the summer after I got my rejection, I watched a TV show called Fresh Meat, and there were characters in there that went to university, and one of those characters ended up doing dentistry. And as the show goes on, she does something, gets kicked out of the dental school, and that kind of annoyed me in a part. I know it's a TV show, but for some reason it just annoyed me, and you can just tell from that I was quite bitter about it. And the first step was just to acknowledge that it was all on me, it wasn't on anyone else. It was my application that wasn't strong enough, and that's why I got rejected. And the quicker you get over this period of post-rejection depression, the faster you can actually plan your comeback and get into dental school. But what do you actually build up on? So firstly, you need to see where you went wrong. So firstly, was that your A-level grades? Was that your UCAT, your personal statement, or maybe even your interview? If you applied with your predicted grades but they weren't strong enough to apply to any dental schools that you wanted to, the best thing to do is just to focus on your A-levels in year 13, get the best grade you can, and reapply in the next cycle. However, if you applied with your actual grades and your actual grades didn't meet the requirements, didn't meet offers, maybe next year you can apply strategically for foundation courses, which just give you one more year but have a lower requirement. Or maybe you can find some contextual offers if that is applicable to you. If not, maybe the best thing to do is to actually do another course beforehand like I did, and then reapply as a graduate. But the biggest caveat of that is the second course, your dentistry course, you've got to pay all yourself for the first 4 years. So if it was your UCAT score that wasn't strong enough but your grades are fine, just reapply next year and make sure that you revise every single day. So the second time I did my UCAT, every single day I made sure to fill up that heat map on Medify. And also 2 weeks leading up to my exam, I did a mock paper every single day, just try and practice myself getting into the routine of doing these papers under time conditions. As a minimum, your UCAT score should be 2,400, because that is the lowest UCAT score any dental school actually looks at. Using my method of just revising every single day, I got a respectable score of 2,800, which got me into a couple of interviews. But perhaps your UCAT was fine, your A-level grades were fine, and it was your personal statement was the one that held you back. Everyone says you need to think outside the box, you need to stand out, but it's much easier said than done. So how do you actually do that? So the way is to find out what your X factor is. What is your unfair advantage? For me, I was a St. John ambulance cadet since the age of 10 all the way to the age of 18, and through that I've grown to love helping patients through volunteering. So perhaps for you it was a personal story, maybe you or your family member had to have some sort of oral surgery which gave you an insight into the world of dentistry. Or perhaps you had braces and you really respected how the orthodontics approached you and helped you out. So now you have your lightning, you actually need to capture it in your bottle, and that is through the introduction. You won't stand out with saying I'm different from other applicants because I did St. John ambulance for 10 years. And instead you need to write an emotional story and weave it through your experiences, what that made you do. So for example, that inspirational story at the start, how that made you delve more into dentistry, how that made you research more things, do more work experience, and perhaps volunteer yourself. I need to convey your desire to the reader, and then get your statement and give it to any of your teachers, any friends that were in dental school or have done interviews before, and let them tear it to pieces. It's the most humbling experience, but trust me, it does help. And take on feedback and make your personal statement even stronger when you rewrite it. Now, one of the toughest of rejections to take is post-interview, because you've made it so far. You made it almost to the end, but you fell at the final hurdle. And that's where I got most of my rejections, and it was because of two things. Firstly, it was preparation, and the second thing was confidence. When I first applied, I thought I had the gift of the gab. I thought it was Tom Skinner from The Apprentice, and I could just go in there without any preparation and smash it. Except they sussed me out straight away, and so I went in overconfident, underprepared, and it didn't really work out. So when I reapplied, I made sure to do this 3-step process. So firstly, I had to research the structure of how I'm going to answer every single question. So for that, I used Medify's interview prep course. It was only about £25, £30, and that gave me so many videos on how to actually plan out my questions. That gave me so many videos on how to plan out my answers for particular questions, and then it gives you a question bank as well. So using this question bank, I wrote pre-prepared answers to all these questions regarding dentistry, and then I got people, so perhaps that were doing dentistry, have done dentistry, doctors, anyone that I knew in that field, or even you can even ask your teachers or your mates to just ask you any question from that bank and use your structure to think on the spot, as well as your pre-prepared answers as well. Strategically selecting the university you want to go to is just as important to maximize your chance of getting in. So click this video to find out how to choose the best dental schools for you and not be instantly rejected.